Music. Allow me to share an insight that escapes many until circumstances compel them to pause. Turning 18 doesn't truly mark growing up. Instead, you master concealing your hurt more effectively. You figure out how to grin through fatigue, how to press on despite that lingering sense of incompleteness within, and how to act as if old memories don't murmur to you in the hush of solitude. Yet that unresolved discomfort, that persistent throb music, resurfacing in quiet instants, isn't a flaw. It's the cry of your inner child reaching out. Carl Jung viewed tending to that inner voice not as a fleeting spiritual fad or pop psychology trope. Rather, it's the bedrock of achieving inner completeness. Jung posited that within each grown person dwells a youngster forever hoping to be acknowledged, listened to, and cherished. Music, that youngster doesn't vanish with maturity. It retreats into your deeper mind, influencing your anxieties, your responses, and the manner in which you form attachments. When critique lands with undue weight, when dismissal strikes like total devastation, when you undermine a promising opportunity because, at core, you doubt your deservingness, that's your inner child voicing itself. In reality, the majority of us unwittingly enact music, the narratives that our younger selves accepted as fact. Perhaps in youth, affection seemed contingent. Music. Perhaps you needed to merit acceptance, remain silent, behave impeccably, or shoulder others' burdens merely to feel secure. Thus, you prioritized endurance over bonds, and today, in adulthood, you perpetuate those identical emotional routines. Music. Placating others, shying from disputes, driving yourself to burnout, since buried deep, that youngster still believes affection, music, requires striving. Jung termed this act of acknowledging and merging those concealed aspects of the self as individuation. Music. The path to mental integration. It involves not repairing flaws. It's recalling your essence prior to societal dictates. Consider it briefly. You arrived unashamed. You entered unafraid of flops or rebuffs. Those fears were acquired. They etch themselves as neural reflexes. Rejuvenating your inner child means softly dismantling them. One recollection, one conviction, one habit at a stretch. Music. Occasionally, restoration commences with mere attentiveness. You detect the whisper, claiming, "Bit quote das." You halt prior to responding and, rather than muffling it, inquire, quote, "Honey one." Frequently, the origin isn't your mature perspective. It's the youngster who once lingered overlooked in a space, the youngster who equated quietude with protection, the youngster who strove to please all because satisfaction eluded them. Carl Jung stated, music. Quote 2. Music. Precisely what an unaddressed inner child accomplishes. It tugs at invisible threads, molding your connections, your value, your vocation, even your life's direction. It governs your loving style, your pain management, and the extent of joy you permit. Yet upon illuminating that child, conversing with it, comprehending it, embracing it, you halt the repetitions. Music. You cease seeking parental figures and companions. You abandon validating worth via accomplishments. And initially you embrace genuineness over guardedness. No wonder countless feel hollow post-triumph. They attained all their grown desires. But their inner child awaited clearance to unwind, to revel, to sense security. Restoring that facet isn't regressing to immaturity. It's rekindling the untainted, inventive, inquisitive, awe-filled elements eroded by fear's lessons. Jung evoked the wounded healer archetype to illustrate how fractured segments can yield profound insight. Typically, those enduring deepest anguish emerge as the kindest, most empathetic, most adept at mending others. Yet attaining that demands ceasing evasion of scars. You must dwell amid them sufficiently to discern their lessons. Perhaps your scar stems from desertion, perhaps humiliation, perhaps the notion that efforts fall short eternally. Regardless, Jung would deem it no adversary. It's a summons, a call to revisit pain's root and infuse clarity where shadow once prevailed. There, genuine change ignites, not via flawlessness, but through being present. For restoration twists non-linearly. It's recollecting today, overlooking tomorrow, It's weeping over resolved matters. It's cultivating self-kindness amid irritation that progress even better. That's restoration. That's evolution. Picture this. You're by yourself after an exhausting day, and a sudden surge of melancholy washes over you. It feels inexplicable. Your circumstances appear stable. Yet that feeling isn't arbitrary. It's a signal, a recollection emerging. Perhaps it's the isolation you endured when your childhood tears went unseen, or the shame you bore for desiring more than you were allowed. Rather than shoving it aside, suppose you just whispered, "I'm here for you." That simple recognition holds immense strength, for when your younger self at last senses being understood, a tension within eases. You no longer crave external approval as desperately. You cease pursuing those who echo your past hurts. You quit attempting to mend what's not shattered, realizing you were whole all along. Jung remarked that everyone you encounter serves as a reflection of your inner world. The individuals who frustrate you, those who motivate you, the ones who diminish you or affirm your presence, they all reveal aspects of your own mind. As you embark on mending your inner child, these reflections shift. You draw in folks who communicate with kindness, since you've begun treating yourself with the same gentleness. You discover tranquility in being alone, as your inner self no longer perceives abandonment in those moments. You start existing from intention, not dread. Truthfully, though, recovery isn't polished. It's chaotic. At times, it's lonely. You may sense yourself unraveling, but truly, it's unification unfolding. The fragments of your being, dispersed through various life stages, are gradually returning. Carl Jung portrayed the mind as an expansive terrain brimming with icons and prototypes, each embodying an element of your narrative. The inner child stands as one of the strongest icons in that realm, linking you to your roots, your purity, and your unfiltered essence. When you music disregard it, your grown-up persona turns stiff, worried, and detached. Yet when you tend to it, your whole internal realm starts to reorganize. You begin appreciating tiny instances, like sunlight warming your palms or how chuckles now carry less weight. You rediscover delight without justification. You halt excusing your empathy and instead view it as a type of wisdom. For empathy enables deep immersion in the world, and that profound immersion renders existence profound. Contemporary society urges us to stifle feelings, remain efficient, and press onward. But Jung's insights urge us that recovery occurs not in haste. It unfolds in quietude. It emerges when you halt long enough to heed your heart's resonances. When you cease fleeing discomfort and instead inquire, "What lesson do you offer?" That's when your inner child starts rebuilding faith in you. It comprehends safety in emerging, in frolicking, in crafting, in experiencing. Music. Gradually, the gap between your current self and your former one fades. You see you've devoted ages to forging a fresh identity, when truly, recovery meant reclaiming the self from before life's clamor drowned it out. That insight transforms all. For once, you cultivate that inner youth. By attending, pardoning, and safeguarding it, you no longer depend on others for that care. You quit seeking affection and begin radiating it. The existence that once weighed you down lightens, not from external shifts, but from your own metamorphosis. That's the subtle potency of Jung's guidance. He didn't instruct evasion of suffering. He encouraged music confrontation with it, to venture into shadows with light in hand rather than denying their existence. For the elements you've evaded, the sorrow, the doubt, the yearning, aren't defects. They're portals returning you to your core humanness. You mend your path by tending the youth within. Music. And upon doing so, the world ceases to be a realm of mere endurance, and music becomes one where thriving is possible. There's a holy quality to the instant you halt fleeing your own being. It's music understated, barely perceptible initially. Perhaps it arises when you stop atoning for your emotions, music, or when you notice a genuine smile creeping in unbidden. Perhaps it occurs as you settle into music quiet and grasp you no longer require company to embrace it. That serene assurance you sense, that's your inner youth rekindling trust. Carl Jung frequently noted that life's supreme gift is evolving into your authentic self. Yet many of us devote years to morphing into what others require: our parents' ideals, society's rewards, history's burdens, music. We adapt to endure. We don disguises so convincingly that soon, even we lose sight of the truth beneath. And music still, deep within, a faint murmur insists, this isn't authentic. That murmur is your essence. It's your inner child recalling the you from before pretense took hold. When Jung spoke of the shadow, that concealed aspect of the mind, he wasn't referring to anything sinister. Music. He was talking about those fragments of yourself you've pushed away, suppressed, or concealed because society deemed them unacceptable. That's often where your inner child lurks within the shadow, in the pieces of you that still ache deeply, crave intensely, or tremble excessively. The sole path to coaxing that child from the shadows lies in music, empathy, rather than domination. Countless individuals pursue recovery via personal growth, music books, affirmations, or routine building. Yet, true mending doesn't always involve elevation. Music. It demands authenticity. It requires confronting the discomfort you once sought to surpass and whispering, music, quote 6. Such raw truth is what you trust can reshape a soul, not intellect, not success, but profound self-embrace. You may believe your early years have faded from memory, but your physical form holds on to them. It recalls the inflection that caused you to withdraw, the music hush that stung like reprimand, the embrace that brought security. It knows who offered solace in music, who withheld it. This explains why specific scents, melodies, or instances can unexpectedly summon tears. Music. These aren't coincidences, they're resonances. Your inner child communicates constantly via bodily feelings, via music recurring behaviors, via your reactions to existence. And once you commit to hearing it, profound changes unfold. Your self-talk evolves. Rather than, quote 7, you shift to, quote 8, music. Rather than dismissing fatigue, you embrace repose. Rather than burying emotions, you voice them in secure manners. Music. Every gentle gesture toward yourself turns into restoration. Music. You emerge as the guardian you craved in your youth. Jung held that within everyone dwells both the caregiver and the youth, and our mission is to merge them, music, to blend discernment with purity, insight with awe, reason with sentiment. When this integration occurs, existence gains equilibrium. You cease oscillating between poles, relentless toil followed by breakdown. Music, intense affection, then withdrawal. You start inhabiting a realm of calm reliability. Music. Restoring your inner child won't erase the suffering. It ensures the suffering no longer dominates. You detach from it. Music. You recognize that the wounds were never evidence of your flaw. They affirmed your humanity. Music. Each mark evolves into a tale of endurance. Each sob testifies to your capacity for profound feeling. Gradually, music, your bond with history transforms. You quit attempting to revise it. Music, you commence comprehending it. You view your guardians not as antagonists or saviors, but as flawed beings harboring their own scarred youths. Music, you regard the tormentors, the romantic losses, the letdowns not as pivotal fractures, but as segments in a vast narrative. The instant you pardon, not to absolve, but to liberate yourself, your inner child breathes freely at last. There's music, a serene elegance in such liberation. You laugh freely, sans dissection. You resume crafting, sketching, scripting, moving, whatever delighted your former self. You reclaim inquisitiveness. You recall the sensation of gazing at the heavens in marvel, not dread. Music. And that's the revelation. Nurturing your inner child mends more than history. It reshapes tomorrow. For when that injured youth achieves wholeness, you halt the cycle of familiar narratives. Music. You cease pursuing approval from those incapable of offering it. You abandon measuring value by output. You forego mistaking suffering for affection. You elect tranquility, even in stillness. Music. And that transformation extends into all facets of your world, your career, your connections, music, your imagination, your direction. Jung noted that the spirit yearns for completeness, and it summons you via signs until you heed. Music, worry, depletion, unease, emotional detachment. These lack randomness. They're beacons. They're the mind's method of signaling that an inner element craves focus. And when you respond to that summons, music, when you pivot inward over external pursuits, reality aligns in unprecedented clarity. Restoring your inner child transcends the pursuit of joy. Music. It's about attaining serenity and authenticity. It's not about effacing the wounds. It's about grasping their role in your growth. It's about seeing that the fragment of you still adrift also holds the map to return. At times, the mightiest renewal arrives not through sessions or contemplation, but in the basic ritual of cradling yourself amid sobs. For that's what your youthful essence always yearned to sense, that a presence would endure amid the chaos. That presence is yours today. Music. And once that bond starts to develop into you, as you bridge the gap between your past self and the person you've evolved into, your self-perception shifts profoundly. You're no longer just striving to mend, you're actively mending, no longer shattered, but rather unfolding like a flower. Each moment you offer solace to that earlier iteration of yourself, you reshape your personal narrative. You reassure your spirit that vulnerability can be secure once more, that affection needn't wound, and that you truly fit in this world. Music. Ultimately, Jung's wisdom converges on a single profound insight. True completeness emerges not from flawlessness, music, but from unification. From cherishing the fearful kid, the clumsy teen, the weary grown-up, all simultaneously. Once you welcome every facet, you cease seeking fulfillment from others, recognizing it has resided inside you all along. Music. Nurturing your inner child won't render existence perfect. Challenges, uncertainties, and setbacks will persist. Yet beneath the surface, a newfound security will anchor you, one absent in the past. For regardless of circumstances, you now understand you won't forsake yourself music ever again. And that, above all, defines what it truly means to restore your existence. It's not fleeing the shadows. Music. It's illuminating them. It's reconnecting with the youngster you used to be, clasping their hand and whispering, "We've arrived. This is home at last."